He found an old shipwreck that was a 16th century. As the hurricane approached, he saw what he found underneath him. Is there anything more exciting than the prospect of finding treasure in a shipwreck? The idea of finding treasure anywhere is exciting, but there's something even more magical about finding it underwater. The notion is the subject to countless films, books, and fantasies. While treasure found in any other place would be great too, there's just something special about feeling the sand squish between your toes or diving into clear blue water and seeing it shimmering. There is so much we don't know about the marine world, and when a ship goes down, it becomes part of that world, which often means its secrets are lost with it forever. Some folks have driven themselves mad, searching for ships that went down years ago, and others have died on expeditions to search for ships in unforgiving waters. Now it's rare to hear about any new underwater treasure discoveries. Thankfully, there are far fewer shipwrecks due to improved building practices, as well as much higher safety standards and advanced communication services and weather predictions. And even when a ship goes down, it is rare that it goes down with a large amount of treasure on board, as might have been more common hundreds of years ago, when ships were the only way to transport goods across the sea, and even though there are many wrecks that have been never accounted for. It is usually because they are guessed be at such inaccessible depths that specialized equipment and a lot of funding would need to be poured into the recovery of whatever might remain at the bottom. And usually, the return isn't worth it to whatever organizations might be in a position to provide the backing to projects like that. However, that doesn't mean that the idea of shipwrecks isn't still exciting or that discoveries aren't still happening. In fact, it was one man and a small team who made a truly extraordinary discovery in 1955 in Bermuda, and he even risked his life to do it. But wait, the story gets even better because there's a heist involved. Stay with us to hear the whole story. Teddy Tucker, although born in the United States, moved to Bermuda as a young boy. He was quite boisterous and found himself constantly kicked out of schools for misbehavior. So his family made the decision to make a fresh start surrounded by never-ending sea. It didn't take long for Tucker to fall in love with the water himself and soon began working at the Bermuda Aquarium. Tucker also started making frequent dives in the area, which was rich in terms of marine life as well as the many wrecks that scattered the shore. He soon became a prolific diver, and in the 1940s, he began salvaging metal from wrecks that contributed millions to the Bermuda economy. His finds were wide-ranging and often exciting. Many of the ships carried treasure as well as weaponry. So he was bringing up swivel guns, gold bars, and a variety of other items. He loved the work and was known for being daring, which paid off in the impressive hauls he would bring up out the water. In 1951, Tucker was out diving and on the search for some missing fish traps when he spotted a cannon on the ocean floor. It was in fairly shallow water, so it didn't take long for Tucker to retrieve the cannon and sell it to the government. He felt sure that the area was full of valuable items and was eager to explore it further with his team, while it hasn't been 100% confirmed. It is likely that the cannon and the surrounding items were from the resting site of the San Pedro, a Colombian ship that went down among the coral reefs at some point in 1594. However, Tucker was a busy man, and though he was furiously curious, he had other commitments to attend to and couldn't spend all of his time exploring San Pedro's grave. But in 1955, he found several days he could dedicate to exploring and so once again, he set out to see what he could uncover. Tucker and his team dove back down to where he had originally found the can, and it wasn't long before he found some other very notable items. One of the first things he found was a small piece of gold, which definitely fueled his suspicion that this was going to be a good place to find some treasure. But he and his team had a long day, so they packed up with a plan to return tomorrow. When they arrived back at the site the next day, they had reason to be a little anxious. Hurricane season was on its way, and the weather already looked a little intimidating, while others might have turned back out of a reasonable sense of caution that wasn't Tucker's style, and he continued on with his dives. Fortunately, the choice paid off, and on the second day, Tucker found 3 beautiful gold buttons that were studded with pearls. As if that find wasn't exciting enough, later that day, he also found 200 silver coins that had attached himself to some musket barrels and cannonballs. With such exciting finds under his belt, Tucker was eager to return again the next day, but knew he had to work fast as the clouds overhead were looking increasingly threatening. So, the team came back for a third and fourth day, and once again, they did not leave disappointed. Over the 2 days, they found another gold and pearl button, as well as a gold ingot that amazingly still had the Royal Spanish tax stamp on it. The team was blown away by their good fortune so far, but unfortunately, at that point, the weather turned against him. The wind was so high that diving among the reefs became too dangerous, even for a daredevil like Tucker, and so they had to wait out the next 2 days as the storm raised and a wave crashed around the reefs. But in a lucky twist of fate, the storm died down, and on the 7th day of their mission, they were able to head back into the water and continue their search for forgotten treasure, and once again, they were not let down by the sea. On the 7th day of their adventure, the team found 2 extraordinary gold bars, one of them measuring an incredible 10.5 inches long and weighing 36 ounces. They'd also found a bronze motors and several other smaller items, truly an incredible haul from one side alone. However, no one could have known that the best was yet to come. Tucker, knowing that this would likely be the last day they could dive in the area for several months, decided to bring down a water hose on his dive, so he could shift sand on the ocean floor in the hopes of finding items faster. He decided to focus the hope on one area underneath a brain coral, and within a few minutes, he had managed to carve out a hole deep enough for him to explore new ground. He had a feeling that there was more treasure to be found, but he could have never imagined what he was about to discover. Shifting sand can send a lot of silt into the surrounding water, and so digging of the hole had created a cloud around Tucker that was hard to see through. He could have a look at the area and see what he would find. Once everything returned to normal, he immediately saw a gold cross that was lying face down in the sand. He moved to pick it up, and when he turned it around, what he saw nearly took his breath away. While a gold cross on its own would have been an exciting find, this wasn't a standard cross adorned with stunning Colombian emeralds and gold nails. This cross was the find of a lifetime. No one can describe the find better than Tucker himself, who said, or struck, "I counted large emeralds on his face. There were 7 of them. Each was as big as a musket ball. From small rings on the arms and the cross hung tiny gold nails, representing the nails in Christ's hands, and at the foot was the ring for a third, which had been lost." The discovery of the cross was a huge accomplishment for Tucker, but also for Bermuda. Once valued, it was found that the piece was worth more than $2 million in today's dollars, and there were many who approached Tucker about buying it. However, Tucker had a loyalty and love for the place where he had grown up and spent his life. So, he sold it to the Bermuda government for a reasonable sum under the condition that they keep it there and use it as a way to bring in more revenue. But you say, wasn't there some mention of a heist? Well, you are correct, and we're about to get there. So, the government started putting together a museum to celebrate all the fascinating things that had been found in the water over the years, with the gold cross, now known as Tucker's Cross, meant to hold a special place of honor. People around the world were excited to see this incredible find, and the Queen of England herself was scheduled to make a visit. But before everyone could take a look at this remarkable cross, Tucker made an alarming discovery. Just as he was preparing to deliver the cross to the museum, he noticed it looked strange. Upon closer inspection, he realized it wasn't the cross he had found. The original had been stolen and a plastic replica had been left in its place. The police were soon on the case, but sadly the original was never recovered. The museum opening did go ahead, however, and even without the cross, it still attracted lots of visitors. Tucker and Bermuda mourned the loss of the cross, but even though it's gone, the contributions that Tucker had made to the economy and to history can never be undone. This story is certainly an inspiring one, and who knows, maybe the original cross will one day be found. What is your favorite found treasure story? There are so many of them from so many different cultures that we know we will never be able to cover them all. We'd love to hear about them in or out the water. Have you ever found anything exciting yourself? There is still so much we don't know about the world. It'll be pretty awesome to see what the next big discovery is. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.